Hello everyone, this is Coffee Source Rex, and today I bring you Gem of the Past. The Elder Scrolls Arena, this is the very first installment in the mainline Elder Scrolls games. It's made up of course, Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, and most popular, Skyrim. Many people have graced the lands of Skyrim, but few have dared to delve into Arena. In this video I plan to at least represent the Arena experience to the best of my ability. Now, to download the Arena itself, just look it up on Steam or go on the Bethesda webpage. Don't worry if you have troubles, the links will be in the description for both pages.
Greetings, Vincent. It is I, Ria Silmane. I beg for your help. You're the only one remaining who can stop Jaggertharn's madness. He has overthrown the true Emperor. I was Tharn's apprentice before I met an early fate. My spirit is barely left in this world. I'll use the rest of my strength to guide you, Vincent. You're our only hope. Take the ruby key and escape the prison. I'll explain more later. For now, go southwest after opening the cell.
The player awakens in the murky prison of the Imperials. Ria Silmane, the ghost woman who guides you in the beginning cutscene and talks way too much, guide tells us to rummage through our cell until we find the ruby key, which isn't even ruby. Arena is harder than the catching Dakimakura in my bedroom, and it really shows, like right off the bat with this quote-unquote tutorial of a dungeon, because it's tough as nails, alright? This is partially because of the movement and the controls. Now, WASD, if you play this game, is not an option. You cannot use it. You can either use arrow keys, which is absolute hell, or you can use a left click to look around, and then right click swiping to actually use your weapons, or to point at something and to attack. It's super annoying. Also, additionally, once you actually load into the game, save immediately, because if you die before you save, all of your progress is lost. It's not like future Elder Scrolls games where once you start, it saves the game for you as an autosave in case you die. No, it doesn't have to do that here. You have to manually save it, alright? After unlocking the cell door with the ruby key, you step out and you're greeted with a winding maze of a dungeon that's filled with rats and goblins, and the most fun part about this game is every enemy just spawns behind you. Like, you can just walk through a corridor, it'll be empty, and then you turn around and there's things killing you from behind. It's super fun. There's a few places you can rest, like these cute little beds and like, imagine like a Minecraft slab block, you can rest on those. However, they're really rare, and don't count on finding them, so you're pretty lost. And the best sense of direction you have to actually escape this tutorial dungeon is she just says go south in like west, I believe, which is true. However, you have to go like a zigzag pattern, so it's really weird, it's very vague. So this dungeon is basically hard to get out of. Now the player also has an incentive to get out of the dungeon because it's Elder Scrolls Arena. There's like things that spawn everywhere. It's really unfair. It's tough as balls. However, there is also a reason to stay. The hall is filled with gold, goodies, and even some rare loot you can find. Not killing the dead monsters, they just usually have nothing on them, but sometimes you can find good stuff from piles of loot or higher level enemies. So you could explore the dark dungeon, get geared up before ever leaving it, but it risks you having to go through all the pain, getting lost. Exploring you could give you an early edge, but also you can just die easily, so it could also just cripple your entire run. It's a thing you gotta take into account before you leave the first dungeon. Once you finally find the shift gate, which is like this blue square thing, it's how you leave the dungeon. Ria will teleport you to a town inside the province of your birthplace. So basically High Rock, somewhere in High Rock for Bretons, Hammerfell for Redguards, Skyrim for Nords, Morrowind for Dark Elves, the Somerset Isles for High Elves, Valenwood for Wood Elves, Elsewhere for Khajiit, and lastly the Black Marsh for the Argonians. Also, pray you do not depart the dungeon during nighttime, because at nighttime even the towns aren't safe. Monsters are fill the map completely. Anywho, Inside this new town, make your way to the nearest tavern, and Ria will give you a vision, per se, on how to progress through this story quest.
Nicely done, Vincent. You have escaped the prison. Next, I need you to uncover some dungeons. You see, Jagger Tharn has one weakness, the Staff of Chaos. Knowing his weakness, Tharn shattered the staff and scattered it around in dungeons across Tamriel. I know none of their locations besides one, Fang Lair. See if you can find your way to the dungeon and collect the first shard of the staff. We haven't much time, so please hurry.
Players directed to the Providence of Hammerfell, and basically you must ask strangers about Fang Lair. This involves the process of one of my favorite pastimes, speaking to the wonderful inhabitants of Tamriel.
Kid, you wouldn't be surprised to hear the news. Plague in the Black Marsh. What else is new, you know?
I don't want to seem paranoid, but I'm convinced the Emperor has been possessed by the devil.
Why don't you try somewhere in the wilds of Hammerfell? I think that the legends say Fang Lair was located there, but I'm not the most sure.
I don't know much about Fang Lair, but I did overhear a man in a bar talk of something having been unearthed in Rihad.
Eventually, an NPC will guide you to Rihad to speak to its ruler. However, before you skip town, I highly recommend exploring. Towns can have stores to buy armor and weaponry. When you find these locations in town, left click on your map icon to open the local map, then left click again on a location to place your own label. This could be helpful later on for tracking down inns, stores, and guilds for your future reference to go back to that town. More importantly, find the Mages Guild. Some skills and benefits are exclusive to certain classes and races. To make up for this though, you have potions. Make sure you grab paralysis, disease, and health potions when you visit this guild. Spells can also be purchased from the Mages Guild, but be wary as not all classes can use magic without enchanted gear. However, if you have access to spells, get the light spell as soon as possible. It'll make the rest of the game actually visible for once and way easier to navigate. Once you're stocked up and ready to go, you can finally travel to Rihad and Hammerfell.
And that's the best. We got the quickest triggers in the whole Wild West. We got sweats and devs taking those on bets. Ain't no telling who the upper man gets. We got main case.
Dear traveler, what brings you here? Fang Lair, you say? Yes, I know of it, but not the location. Let me see. I do know how to transcribe its location, however. I'll cut you a deal. I've been searching for a special parchment, but it's in the dangerous ruins of Stonekeep. Get the parchment for me and I'll decipher the location of Fang Lair.
Stonekeep itself is a fascinating location. It's basically a rundown fortress that's connected to a cavern. Also, the parchment scroll you have to find isn't that hard, it's just near the entrance to the right. However, exploring Stonekeep can be highly rewarding, as farming the dungeon can be great for XP levels and gold. However, be warned, as this is, well, not this, but the entire game's just one hell of a difficulty spike through most of the early stages, so it'll be hell, just warning you now.
Great work, traveler. Here, give me a moment. There we go. Here, I have marked on your map where Fang Lair should be located. Safe travels, dear adventurer.
Venturing through Fang Lair, the hounds guarding the first staff piece can be a bit of a challenge. Once you clear them, however, you collect the first piece of the staff, and your very first step to actually getting close to killing Tharn.
Epilepsy warning. Smile.
Sadly, once you've collected the first piece of Ria's staff, the rest of the game is rinse and repeat, sadly. So, yeah, basically, you know how we did this for Hammerfell? Well, every other province in the region, there's 2 dungeons, a minor dungeon for a side quest, or not side, like a lesser quest, and then like a major dungeon for like the more bigger quest. Just like that, just like in Hammerfell. The dungeons, no, don't get me wrong, the dungeons are unique, and hell, a lot of them are actually fun to mess around and dick around in. However, still, it's just a dungeon crawler, and the gameplay is very repetitive and gets really old, especially with the dumb combat. Essentially, fetch quest for dungeon, then you do staff dungeon, and that's like the entire story, besides like the beginning and the ending. Also, the dungeon difficulty does go up and down for some reason, like it just fluctuates. I have no idea why, it just is like that also. But anywho, once you crawl through all 16, not including the last 2 dungeons, like the last dungeon and the first one, just to include those, you have to do like 16 main dungeons in total, and the staff is worthless. You did all of that work for nothing, so you have to confront Tharn himself to kill him because your whole plan just failed. So what a wonderful story. The final step in your journey is to confront Tharn himself. Basically, you break into his home, you go to his basement, which is filled with lava for some reason, and you basically poke a red gusher, and yeah.
Truly a child of the Empire, I thank thee for thy assistance. From this day forth, thou art named the Eternal Champion.
Yeah, and that's the game. That's right, it ends with the boss just fizzling away. You get a pat on the back from the Emperor, and that's pretty much it. So for reference, the entire game's story is you wake up in prison, collect Chaos Emeralds, walk into the palace, touch Red Gusher, and win. That is the story of the entire game. There are 3 types of quests. Main story, which we've already gone over. Artifact quests, fun but tedious dungeon crawling quests that give you rare artifacts. The best artifact is the Augma Infinium, as it vanishes after use, meaning you can farm this like free 50 points, which is fucking amazing. Endless amount of time, making you become a god who walks among us. Lastly, there are side quests. This can be anything from just giving someone an item, to guiding someone to a location, or killing monsters somewhere. All of which are given a limited time to complete. Side quests, I'd say, would be the most boring part of the game, with the rewards being very lackluster.
Sorry for disturbing you, but I was hoping you might be on your way to the Mages Guild. You see, I have an heir apparent who needs to be escorted there, and I have a friend there willing to pay up to 36 gold if you can get her there by TES.
Remarkable job. I don't know if I could have survived as long here with Kriri, but then Voma's heir apparent gas always annoyed me greatly. Here is your 36 gold.
The Elder Scrolls Arena is one hell of an experience, with revolutionary world generation and exploration for its time. It's like a D&D character building, and its gameplay is fun at times, I admit. However, it's really outdated, though it's still, I'd consider it to be a gem of a game that's fun to look back on and admire. But I do not recommend for play. This game is charming, but annoying, the story is hollow, and the combat is a joke, with a chance to miss any attack you throw. So, what is the true Elder Scrolls experience, or at least the arena experience?
like
Oh, damn. Well
get
played.
peanut buttered on, retard.
In total, this was the start of a fun and expansive game series. It's outdated, but still interesting to look over, and was made by a team who clearly cared about the game and the players, with some dude from the chess club tagging along the way, I suppose.
The other kids in the block would say, you know, I'm going to play quarterback for the Cowboys, and I'd be like, I'm going to make video games, and everyone's going to play them. Like, you dork. Go back to the chess club. Who's laughing now?
Next game. Next game. Out the way, bitch. Next games. Next games. Woo! Next games. Next games. Next games.
Doobie doobie dan dan doobie dooba. Magical secrets for powerful muscles. Doobie doobie dan dan doobie dooba. It makes you feel good even if you're in trouble. Let's go see him so we can learn what he knows. He's got the moves from head to toe. He's a super duper hero. I'm too scared to speak to that boy in my class. If he doesn't like me, I'll be broken like glass. That's why I'm training to be sure and strong. So please train me early all day long, yeah. Doobie doobie dan dan doobie dooba.
Yes, I was in the chess club.